Former Attorney General Bill Barr says if the U.S. really wants to end the fentanyl crisis, it needs to take the fight to the cartels. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed, Barr says the U.S. military should attack cartels inside Mexico with or without the help of the Mexican government. Chief Washington correspondent Blake Berman asked the administration if this is a real possibility.
What about Bill Barr suggesting that maybe we put a military presence or have a military presence inside Mexico?
I'm not going to comment. I'm not going to comment on what Bill Barr has said.
But has the president ever thought about that idea?
But you're asking me to comment on Bill Barr, who was the Attorney General during Trump's administration. I'm just not going to comment.
All right, not going to comment on that. Blake joining us live from the White House. Blake, did the White House say anything else?
Well, you saw in a little bit of that back and forth there, Nichole, the White House not really wanting to engage on that op-ed that was penned by Bill Barr, former U.S. Attorney General, on his thoughts as to how the U.S. government should be taking on cartels in Mexico. That op-ed was penned in the Wall Street Journal just yesterday. The last Attorney General in the Trump administration suggested the following. He said the U.S. needs to have a significant law enforcement and intelligence presence in Mexico, along with select military capabilities, as he put it. But he also said there should be support and participation from that country. He added that the U.S. needs to treat cartels like terrorist groups. Now, that essay just coming a day after the current Attorney General, Merrick Garland, testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee here in Washington that he would not be opposed to the idea of labeling the top cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Garland also agreed that there might need to be stricter sentencing guidelines involving fentanyl. Also at the briefing today, Nichole, I asked the press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, if the Biden administration needs to reassess its posture against the cartels, given the recent concerns from those two most recent attorneys general. There was no real comment from her, Nichole, on that, as well as she said that she didn't necessarily want to get ahead of any potential DOJ actions. But keep in mind here, it's not like this was any sort of partisan issue or partisan concerns, Nichole. You've got Merrick Garland, the attorney general, appointed by a Democratic president, Bill Barr, an attorney general who was appointed by Republican president.
Well, Blake, the administration, though, did take some action against the cartels just this week.
Yeah, they did. It came just yesterday, a notice, an announcement from over at the Treasury Department, and it was really a warning to American investors and to American tourists as well. The Treasury Department says the popular vacation spot of Puerto Vallarta, the Jalisco cartel there, is involved in what they're describing as a timeshare scheme. As a result, 8 companies linked to the fraud were just slapped with sanctions by the Treasury Department. Now, the head of OFAC, which is the Office of Foreign Assets Control, saying in a statement, quote, "This crime, which can defraud victims of their life savings, results in another significant revenue stream for the cartel and strengthens its overall criminal enterprise." So those sanctions came about, and the Treasury Department, Nichole, says the victims in this case, in many cases, are the elderly.
Yeah, we hate to hear that. Okay. Blake, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.